closed caption information provided by the staff.
Good evening and welcome to the February 9th Citizen Public Safety Review and Appeal Board meeting. Just a reminder for the public that if you would like to make a comment, please call 269-226-6573. Again, if you would like to make a comment at this meeting, please call 269-226-6573 and leave a voicemail message. Your message will be limited to 3 minutes. And during the citizen comment section of this agenda, your voicemail will be played back. Thank you. Also, the City of Kalamazoo live streaming platforms do not currently offer live closed caption. However, please note that public meetings are recorded and upon conclusion are made available with closed caption for the hearing impaired. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Ms. Vargas, I believe we are ready for our roll call.
Sarah Buchanan. Christopher Caldwell.
Present.
Luis Garcia. Curtis Gardner. I believe he is present.
He is present.
Daniel Hamilton.
Oh, here, sorry.
Okay. He is present. Kim Hines Lepsey.
I'm here.
Thank you. Oliver Howell.
Present.
Barbara Miller.
Here.
Vernon Payne.
Here.
Jaquise Robertson.
Here.
Suzanne Stapleton.
Here.
And Larry Tolbert.
Present.
Thank you.
Welcome again and good evening. I believe you received the previous meeting minutes in your packets. You have had time to review those minutes. Are there any changes or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, I will accept the motion to adopt the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Second, please.
Support.
Having a moved and second, we will now ask for the yeas and nays. Those all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Minutes are adopted. We have some new faces, but not strange faces to this community this evening. I think the faces have been around for some time, and we're so excited that we're going to have these new members introduced to us. Ms. Moore, Ms. Vargas, do you want us to introduce ourselves as well, or will we
Yes.
just? Okay.
Yes, I would like for the existing members to introduce themselves as well, and the new members to introduce themselves as new members so that the public can know who's serving us on this board. And again, we are delighted to have these new members join us. We're certainly looking forward to doing this work with the full board for the first time in a very long time. So I think we'll start with you, Chairman Payne, and go from there.
Okay, I'm Vernon Payne and been a resident of this community for 39 years at Western Michigan University, where I was employed, and I retired last Sunday
All right.
from Western.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Congratulations.
But I can assure you that
Congratulations.
thank you. Ms. Moore and Ms. Bonner are eating up all of my time. I'll tell you that right now. It's busy. Yes, it is. And I am an at-large member of the board.
You know, and the water's not going to come.
So we'll just go by my screen, and next on my screen is Mr. Caldwell, who is a newly appointed member. So welcome to the board, and if you could introduce yourself to the board and to the public, we'd appreciate it very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christopher Caldwell. I am a lifelong resident of Kalamazoo, KPS schools, K through 12, Western a couple of times. I just recently retired also. I had kind of an extended retirement because I was a school teacher, special education teacher at Kalamazoo Central, KPS schools for 13 years and the previous 14 years and the previous 7 years at Battle Creek. But I've been out since March. So that is what it is. That's how it went. Schools are having a difficult time. I was curious. I wanted to do something to join, wanted to find something to join to help Kalamazoo, particularly after this past summer. I was looking for something that I could get my fingers in. And first I thought I needed to know and learn something about more than what you can read in the paper, read in the online news, that sort of thing. Something a little deeper. So I applied, and that's why I'm here.
Thank you. I would ask everyone to please mute yourselves until it's your turn to talk. I think we have a little background noise, so if you could mute yourself until your opportunity, that would be very much appreciated. Ms. Stapleton.
Thank you. Susan Stapleton, and I've lived in Kalamazoo for a little over 30 years in the Arcadia neighborhood, and have been a faculty member and administrator at Western Michigan University. Certainly looking forward to participating on this board, but in the past have been involved in neighborhood associations, community events, volunteering with a number of our organizations in town. And so this seems like a great opportunity, and I just look forward to working with everyone on the board.
Thank you. Mr. Gardner.
My name is Curtis Gardner, a 65-year resident of Kalamazoo. This is my second term on the board. I love it. And I too will be retiring in June. And I work for Pfizer.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Howell.
Good evening. My name is Oliver Howell. Welcome to our new members. You're certainly in good hands. This is a great group. I just started my second term, and it's truly been a pleasure working alongside my fellow committee members and under Chairman Payne's leadership. The one thing I would say to our new members is, as soon as you can, as soon as COVID permits you to, try to do the Citizens Academy. For me, that was something that really kind of changed my perspective and helped me bring a new perspective to what we do here. So, obviously COVID might prevent that from happening for a while, but it's certainly something to keep on your radar. But welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Talbert.
Talbert, moved here in '71, so I've been here 50 years now. I've been retired for 7 years from the building and construction trades. I've been on boards at Western Michigan University, Board of Trustees, WMed, NAACP, numerous other boards, and I'm happy to be on this board, and I think we have a lot of good work to do.
Thank you. Ms. Miller.
Hi, Barb Miller here. I'm a newbie, obviously. I've been in the Kalamazoo area all my life, except for when I went to college. Been married to pretty much a saint for almost 45 years because he's still married to me. KPS graduate, like some of the other ones there. I was on the school board, Kalamazoo Public School Board, and on the city commission. And I look forward to this because it seems like a lot easier than those two jobs. Thank you.
Ms. Buchanan.
Hi, I am Sarah Buchanan. I'm an at-large member on the board here. I've been living in Kalamazoo since about 2002. I went to Western. I'm a Western grad. I currently work for WMed. I am in my second term, if I didn't already say that. And I just like working on this board. I think it does really important work for the community. And we're trying to elevate the transparency and the relationship between police and the community. And I think if any place in Michigan or in the country can have great relations and transparency, I think Kalamazoo is the place that we can do it. So we're trying to do that good work here.
Thank you. Mr. Garcia.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Luis Garcia. I moved to the US in Kalamazoo in particular 6 years ago now from the United Kingdom. It's been a pleasure to be on the board. This is, I believe, my first term. I work from home and I currently am the chair of the board of the Hispanic American, well, formerly known as Hispanic American Council, now currently known as El Concilio downtown. So it's been a pleasure being on this board and being working with everyone else. And I look forward to working with a larger group too. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hamilton.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the new board members. My name is Daniel Hamilton, member at large, also a Western graduate. I've been able to call Kalamazoo my home now for 8 years. And just to echo what everyone else said, happy to be a part of the board. I'm a little underway in my second term with the board, and it's been a very rich experience thus far. So welcome.
Thank you. Ms. Hines-Lipsey.
Hi, I'm Kim Hines-Lepsey. I've lived in the Edison area for about 25 years. I've worked at lots of different facilities in Kalamazoo as far as human services, a lot with people with disabilities, children with disabilities. Right now I'm home with my kids because they are struggling through we are all struggling through remote learning. But I've been on the board for, I think, 2.5 years now, and I've really learned a lot, and I'm super appreciative and welcome new members.
Thank you. Ms. Robinson.
Hello, my name is Jacqueline Robertson. I'm a member at large. I have the honor of working at Griffin Place as the Vice President of Impact. I've been a part of this board for, I think, 2 terms, and it's been a wonderful experience. It's an honor to work with everybody here. So again, hi to all the new members, and we're so happy to have you.
Thank you all for sharing, and to let you know, we really do appreciate your time, your talents, your voices, your passion that you contribute to this board. It is very important work, and I'm sure we don't say it enough, but thank you all for your service, and we just really appreciate you. We'd also like to introduce our staff. We'll start, these are faces that you will see during these meetings. So we'll start with Ms. Vargas.
Hi, I am Patricia Vargas. I'm a resident of the city of Kalamazoo for about 20 years, and I've been with the city of Kalamazoo for about 14. And I'm executive assistant to the city manager's office and provide recording services for CSPRAD.
This next person, who holds a new position in the city, our DEI director. And when Chairman Payne told me that he was getting ready to retire, I told him that I was going to be not too far behind him. So I too will be retiring in the next few months. And Ms. Bonner will be taking over stewardship on behalf of the city manager's office, but I'll let her introduce herself.
She shouldn't talk about her retiring before she asked me to introduce herself. She said, my name is Darla Bonner. I'm the new Director of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. I have been with the city 10 years in this position since last February. I'm a Western grad as well. And I'm working hard, Ms. Payne, you know, we are kind of connected at the hip anyway. I guess it's a real connection now. I appreciate you all support, and it's good to be on in this group with you all in this work. Thank you.
We'll hear from our Department of Public Safety.
Thank you, Patsy. Good evening, everyone. My name is Vernon Coakley. I have worked with the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety for 23 years. I've been in law enforcement for 28. The chair that I hold now, I'm excited to work with have the opportunity to work with this group of men and women in order to advance our community and our public safety department and transparency, equity, inclusion, and diversity. A lot of work to be done. As soon as COVID allows us to move forward, I'm excited to move in the direction we are going. As Mr. Howe talked about, it was that the Citizens Academy, and there are a lot of pieces to that are exciting for you to know, especially for our new members of this board, and how public safety, and you get an opportunity to walk in our shoes, but to look and see what things are from our lens, and what the public doesn't get an opportunity. But more importantly, what I'm looking to do is have that opportunity to not only open it up to this group, but more as the community at large. So quarterly, I'm looking to do that, to bring the citizens into our building and show and walk them through that in an abbreviated way. So we're excited. I'm excited. I'm looking, and I'm happy and excited to serve in this position for this community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And good evening. My name is Victor Green. I'm an assistant chief, one of the assistant chiefs in Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety. I'm 3 months into this job. However, I am not new to Kalamazoo. Went to Western and spent 20 years here and left 15 years later and came back. So I am very happy to be back in Kalamazoo, my home, and I'm very happy to be part of the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety. And welcome to the new members here.
Thank you. And just as a somewhat formal introduction of myself, my name is Patsy Moore. I'm in my 26th year with the city of Kalamazoo, the last 8 or so as deputy city manager in the city manager's office. 39 years of local government service. Local government, in my opinion, is the hardest work that you will ever love. So it's been a tremendous job to really serve the community, and it's been my pleasure. So again, thank you all for your service. Thank you, Chairman Payne.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. And just a couple of thoughts. This board, most of you have experience serving on lots of boards, lots of different positions. This board is kind of unique. This board strives to be on the cutting edge when it comes to the work that we do in the community with public safety. And we want to push the envelope in terms of accountability for this board, for our public safety officers, for the city manager's office, and for the city commission for that matter. And so it's not a board where you have a title, it's a working board, and these members are incredible, and the staff is incredible. One of the strengths of this board is the fact that I think I can speak for all of us. When we come together, when we have meetings, when we have subcommittee meetings, we leave our titles at the door and our egos on the floor. And I think that's a tremendous strength for this group of individuals. And I've served on a lot of boards, but this board here is one of the, it's a delight to work with these individuals. And I'm sure that our new members will find that out rather quickly. And so that's kind of an overview of how we function, okay? it's time for our OIR update, I believe, Ms. Bonner.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Payne. And just to catch our new members up to date, the city decided to, with the support and suggestion that some of our community folks decided to procure an independent team, an external team to do an independent review of the KDPS response to the protest this summer. And so with the help of Mr. Payne and Mr. Howell, we went through some applications and selected the OIR group from the West Coast to facilitate this investigation. And so to date, we have had 2 general community sessions. This week, we had a session, an input session with our advocacy groups and our neighborhood associations. Friday, we're going to have an input session from young people who participated. And so our goal is to make sure that we get as much done as quickly as possible, at the same time taking our time to get quality work, quality responses from our community, so the OIR group can do their work in evaluating all the information. They will also be talking next week, I believe, with public safety. And public safety is going to actually, since they can't come in person because of our restraints with quarantine, they're going to go through it via Zoom, go through the videos and talk to OIR group through their perspective of how things went. And so, like I said, our goal is to get this done within the next couple of weeks. From that point, the OIR group has said it will take 120 days for them to write their report. And so we are moving toward late summer, early fall completion. Mr. Payne, you feel free to add because you've been with me the whole way.
Well,
and I appreciate it.
It's important work, because I think that the product that we receive is going to be a product that is evidence-based, that is fact-based, something that the community can have confidence in. And the firm that we selected, OIR, it was competitive on a national basis. And I thought that Ms. Bonner and our purchasing department did an excellent job of vetting all of these companies, as with Mr. Howell's help, of course. At the end of the day, that report, that final report, is going to be submitted to the city manager's office and to this board. And we will have an opportunity to look at that report and as it goes forward, and it will go to our community as well. And so it's exciting work. It's work that's going to answer the hard questions. It's work that's going to hopefully provide us with guidance going forward. And so it's been a rewarding experience, I believe, for all of us who have been engaged in that process, and you'll have an opportunity to engage in that process when the report is finalized. Okay, any other comments, Ms. Bonner? We're moving on to agenda item number 7. That's our activity tracker. The first item is the logo and website report. Is there an update on the logo and website?
Yes, there is. I will be providing that to the group, speaking just briefly on both items, one being a decision task and the other being a review only. So specifically, the division task is the 3 Citizens Public Safety Review and Appeal Board logo options that were created from the member input that we received and collected and was shared with everyone last week. Tonight, I'm asking members to decide which one of the 3 logos will become the new CSPRAB logo. And I'm just going to ask for a raise of hands. And I'm going to go ahead and share the logos so everyone can see them. And just one moment while I do that. Okay, so the first option is logo number 1. And if I can, I think didn't think this through. I'm so sorry. But if I can get everyone to say one at a time, which if they prefer that logo, I think that would probably be easiest.
So Patricia, perhaps you could just review the three of them and what they are, just briefly, and then ask for the preference.
Okay, so the first logo, each of the logos, as you can tell, have all three Kalamazoo City Public Safety across the top of the circular logo, and then Review and Appeal Board across the bottom. That was the consensus pretty much from everyone that they liked that look. We created two with the justice scales for the logo, and then a request came up that we would like to see the people represented within the logo. So that option 2 was the second logo that was created. And then there was another conversation that was held in regards to the third option, which did not include the justice scale, but had our CSPRAB name in the center, which includes the people. So yeah, it would be now time for us to decide which one of those options we want to proceed with. So I can start just by going through the roll call. Sarah Buchanan.
Number 2.
Okay. Christopher Caldwell.
Number 2.
Luis Garcia.
Number 1.
Curtis Gardner.
Number 2.
Daniel Hamilton.
Number 2.
Kim Hines Lepsey.
Number 2.
Oliver Howell.
Number 2.
Barbara Miller.
I'd like to abstain if I could. Thank you.
Thank you. Vernon Payne.
Number 2.
Jaquise Robertson.
Number 2.
Suzanne Stapleton.
Number 2.
And Larry Tolbert.
I was going to say number 3, but I'm going to say number 2 because I think that's the winning number.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm going to stop sharing here.
If there's any consolation, I like the scales of justice for number 1.
Thanks.
Thank you for that comment. Okay, so we have decided that the new CSPRAB logo will be the option number 2, and we will be adding that post haste to the Citizens Public Safety Review and Appeal Board website, which was newly created in a drafts format. And I'll go ahead and show that to you shortly. It's Kalamazoo City CSPRAB at kalamazooCity.org, and this draft site is a work in progress, currently accessible to CSPRAB members and city staff only, and it is intended to provide a visual to review and to build upon. So please be sure to communicate any suggested additions or updates on the website to both Neil Conway, who is our point person here at the city, as well as the website subcommittee members, Curtis and Sarah. Once we have everyone's input, the new website will be presented at the March 9th or April 13th CSPRAB meeting prior to going live. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen just so everybody can look at it, but I encourage everyone to review and again, provide that input back to Neil Conway and the website subcommittee. So on the home page, again, work in progress, that we have what is the Citizens Public Safety Review and Appeals Board. And we have a tab for complaints and appeals that describes both. And again, it's a work in progress. First, defining the complaint process, which KDPS handles, and then going on to filing an appeal, that process, as well as the forms. And then we have a tab about the CSPRAB, which includes our CSPRAB members and their photos and biographies, and will have their contact link for citizens to be able to reach individuals. So again, work in progress, and also information on how to join CSPRAB.
Or how to apply. Perhaps we should change that to apply.
Okay, thank you. All right. So that's all I have for that item on the agenda today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have the use of force and benchmark analysis report. I believe that's by the chief.
Actually, okay, yeah, let's do that one. And then we'll come back to item B.
Oh, sorry for that. I'm sorry.
So Chief and AC, Assistant Chief Green, talk about where we are with our annual report and data.
Okay, so thank you, Chairman Payne and Patsy, Deputy City Manager Patsy Moore. We are currently extracting the information for the end of the year annual report. What we are looking to publish that report by the end of the first quarter of this year to have it ready for review. So we're excited to get that out.
So am I to understand that that data portion of that is going to be ready to go by the end of March? Is that what I'm understanding?
March. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And who's working on the language part of that report? Especially I'm assuming that there's going to be information in there that covers the board's engagement, the board's new initiatives, those kinds of things.
Okay, so Chairman Payne, what Chief was talking about is the public safety annual report. Now, there is also a separate CSPRAB annual report.
That's what I want.
Okay, and that's item B. So I'm going to share with you a draft mock-up of the annual report. And this is certainly, may not be how it ends up, but this is an example of an annual report that was done years ago, and we just kind of updated it. We will, once we get kind of a consensus of, yeah, this is going in the right direction, or we need to change this, then we'll turn it over to our communications staff, and they will make it look pretty and do everything they need to do. But just to give you an example of this annual report, in this annual report, we will have a message from the chair. That would be you, Chairman Payne. And this is 2 to 3 paragraphs just to talk about vision and direction. That would be the front page of the report. The second page would be a list of the board members, and we have included new board members that were appointed at the end of 2024, 2021, but it is the 2020 annual report. Then on the next page, we will have, we're proposing to have the purpose of the board, and that's taken directly from our policies and procedures, outlining the complaint process and showing how that works. In item number 3, showing a graph of your activity. So what this chart shows, it shows the number of appeals that the board receives, and we've gone back to 2015 through 2020. So given an example as 2019 so far has been our largest year. That year we received 6 appeals. and 3 of them were sustained. 1 was reversed, and 2 were withdrawn. So that's how that chart will look for 2020. You know, given what happened in 2020, we only received 1 at the first of the year, and that was reversed. So that'll give some activity, a look at the activity of the board itself. And then lastly, as you mentioned, Chairman Payne, we want to talk about the improvements and initiatives that we worked on last year, some of the structural change, the investigative initiatives that were undertaken by the board, community awareness, oversight, and access. And these were, right now, these are in my words, but after this meeting, we will send it out to you to give your input, to all of you, to give your input and suggestions, and we will finalize that report. So on the back of the report, we would have some statistics, and as Chief Coakley indicated, we won't have those statistics until end of the first quarter. So we would not be able to, these are just numbers from a long ago, but just to give you an idea of what it might look like. We will have once we have those numbers, we will use this back page to present that data. And so that's what we're thinking for the annual report from the Citizens Public Safety Review and Appeals Board. And I certainly welcome any suggestions, any thoughts, comments at this time.
Will that report be linked to the website that's being created when it's completed? Okay.
We'll make sure that it is.
Ms. Moore, when you send along a copy of this document, would it be possible for us to get from the chief and his staff a preview of the statistical categories that will be included in the report? And I ask for that because there may be data or information that a board member would like to see and have available in that report. But if we had a preview of just the categories of what that would look like, what that would contain. For example, if I heard correctly, is there a category for?
And I wouldn't look at these categories. I'll let Assistant Chief Green talk about that. I don't know if we have the categories or if you'll be able to supply a sample of the categories that we will be tracking and presenting. Assistant Chief Green, if you would like to address that, that would be great.
Yes, thank you, Deputy City Manager, Ms. Moore. Yes, we can start. We're working on providing a sample for what that would look like with the different categories. Some categories we're able to capture, and sometimes the civilian may not provide those information to us. So we will be able to provide a sample of the categories.
Sure. Okay. Now I'm wondering, you know, if the community would benefit from knowing, for example, we had the Lambert traffic study back in 2013, and there was some data that was collected around that traffic study that indicated that, in fact, the citizens in the community were experiencing racial bias, and there were recommendations made. Is there any data that tracks our progress from 2013 up until 2021 based on the data that we already have? In other words, what I'm saying is, do you think that it would benefit the community to know that our department has made demonstrable progress, and we can support that with data? Those are the kinds of things I think that I'm trying to get at here in this report.
Absolutely, and I was not thinking of it as a part of the annual report, but we can certainly talk about that. But we are, and Chief can help me with this, we are going to once again present in a comprehensive manner the recommendations that came out of the report, the progress that has been made on those recommendations, so that we can once again present that information out to the community.
Yes, exactly. And I say that because one of the hallmarks of the new leadership in our police department is the pledge to the community for transparency. And even if that data is negative, it's positive, because our chief has pledged that he's going to be upfront and transparent with our community. And so it's what I'm trying to say here is that we just need to get the data and then make whatever adjustments we need to make going forward if that data is something that is alarming or disappointing to us or whatever. It may be wonderful, who knows? Does that kind of crystallize what I'm
I think so. Chief, any
I
comment?
agree. Yeah, I agree, Chairman Payne. And that's something we can put together. We can extract that data, put that together in order to display that and communicate that to our community and this board as well.
Given that I have time now that I've retired, when I'm not working for Dorla or Ms. Moore, I work for you too, Chief. Not a problem.
Thank you, sir.
I have a quick question in regards to the annual report, and you may not have an answer to this, but it showed that there was no complaints received for, I think it's 2017, 2018. Why was that?
There were no appeals.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yes.
Which is a good question, because were there complaints? And if
Yes.
we get baseline of complaints, maybe that data should be also included in the data that we receive. And it would be nice to know by jurisdiction or district where those complaints are coming from, if that's possible. We also at one point in time asked for a demographic breakdown on those complaints by ethnicity, not only on the complaints, but on the stops. And I know a lot of communities are collecting data when a police officer stops a citizen, and the police officer takes that base data based upon their perception of the race of the citizen and the reason for the stop. And that data is tracked. That way, I think our community and the whole community can take a look at, where our resources are being spent and where we are patrolling and policing, and to look at the equity issues involved in that. And I think 3 years ago, I think we had that conversation about trying to collect that kind of data on all police stops, not just the complaint process.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
All right.
In terms of the reporting, will the Lambert study be made public to the board, or is that just something we get after it's kind of drawn up?
That's a public document, and
Yeah.
and I think that someone on the staff can just send it out to the whole board. It's a public document.
On that website you had, I know you had a form on how to file a complaint. Do you also have a form on how to file an appeal on that?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, Ms. Moore, where are we here? Are we on the intern?
Yes, we are. We are. So we pledge to resource an intern position to support the board. And as we began to try to put together a job description of what that intern would do, between Dorla and myself and the other board that she manages, we're coming up with not we didn't have a full job description. We did not have enough tasks that we can identify at this time to maintain an intern position. So until we know, we don't want to bring an intern in where they will not have meaningful work, where staff will have to, we want them to have meaningful work. And we just couldn't come up with what an intern would be doing to support the board at this time. So I wanted to hear from you, but that's where we are. we started looking at 20 hours a week. Okay, what could a person do 20 hours a week? We brought it down to 2 days per week, and I don't think anyone would be willing to do anything less than 2 days per week. So we're struggling with that that initiative right at this moment. And I just wanted to I know we promised to do that. We do have the resources to fund the position, but that's kind of where we are right at this moment. I mean, if there's something certainly that you need right now, I mean, we can look at temporary help if it becomes overwhelming. But right now, from what I'm understanding and from what I can see, I cannot fill a position at this time. So I wanted to share that with you.
My thinking at first is that COVID makes it difficult. That's the first thing that crossed my mind as far as some type of intern work.
Well,
They'd
true.
be involved with different people. Through Zoom, I guess that would work, but.
Well, I know just over the past week, my inbox has been filled with email and Zoom meeting dates that have been replicated and re-replicated and replicated again. And so just on that communications piece, I think that an intern could be very, very helpful. I think the other thing that an intern can do for this group is any research projects that we need to assign or that we have questions about in terms of moving our board forward and comparing what we're doing with other communities that are ahead of us in this process. So I can think of several different projects that could occupy 20 hours a week. So maybe we should have that conversation, or if you have ideas about that, email those ideas to a staff member or to one of us. I'm not sure how you want to handle that, Ms. Moore, but I'm sure that there's 20 hours a week out there for.
So, yeah, so they can email them to you, and you can get them to me so that we can look at it and talk about what the best way forward is. So if the board has ideas that I'm not thinking of, let us know. And yeah, and the kinds of research you're thinking about, I'm not sure that, just show me what you're thinking and we can move from there.
Yeah, there are projects out there, in my opinion, that we can utilize that kind of support on. And the other thing that I think is important is that that internship benefits the individual who is going to be engaged in it, as well as the board.
If it's meaningful and not, work for.
I had a couple of twin guys that interned with me, and I learned more from them than they learned from me. It was just a wonderful experience for me as well. And so it's a sharing experience with an intern. We have to make sure that they have a positive experience as well. But if I'm more than happy to work on that project with you, Ms. Moore. Okay. Citizens survey.
And Dorla, you may help me with this. Just wanted you to know, I know we've talked about a survey from the board, but wanted to know that the city administration is sending out a community-wide survey at this point. And there are some questions on that survey that relate to public safety, but it's not a survey that is solely dedicated to the work that you're involved with here in the board. So I wanted you to know that before you saw that out there thinking that it was replacing what you were talking about. It's not, but it's something that that we try to do every 2 years or so. So that's what's out there now, and citizens will be responding to that. But there are some questions about the equity portion of how public safety delivers services to the community. So I just wanted you to be aware of that.
Thank you. Are we still moving forward with a citizen survey by the board here? Maybe I missed that. Or we're putting that in neutral until the city completes its survey?
I think it's in neutral.
Okay, thank you. Okay, subcommittee reports. Are there any outstanding subcommittee reports that we need to be updated on at this time? Okay. Thank you. Review of the 2021 PCR complaints reports.
That would be from chief and staff.
Thank you, Deputy City Manager Patsy Moore. Currently, board, we currently have one 2021 complaint, and the complaint is about the validation of a traffic stop by a citizen. That citizen is challenging the reason of the stop. That's the only complaint that we have fielded right now. That's under Inspector Giles currently. She's working on that complaint. That concludes at this time the 2021 complaints that we have.
Thank you for that. Now, can I ask a question? Are we collecting data on a citizen who approaches, let's say goes to a police station with the intent of filing a complaint, and for whatever reason, that citizen does not file a complaint? Are we tracking that data as well? Citizens who come in, have a conversation with an intake officer, and then does not file a complaint. I ask that question because in some of the literature that I've read, it says that citizens are sometimes dissuaded or turned away or talked down from a complaint at the point of contact. And that if you collect that data at the point of contact, so-and-so came in, they didn't file a complaint and left. That may be instructional going forward in terms of resource allocation. Does that make sense to you, Chief and Vic?
Yeah, Chairman Payne, a couple ways we do that. We do track the information. So if someone decides to come in and they want to file a complaint, we would take that information down. There's a couple ways in which the outcome may happen. A person may come in and say, want to file a complaint. If it's by telephone and we need to interview the person, sometimes the person does not come back for an interview, and we make several attempts to bring them back in. So we would capture that information, but it's not official a complaint at that point. It's, we also capture inquiries when they just come in and they just want to make a statement, but not an official complaint, where it's not a policy violation that might be involved. So we capture those also.
Correct. So that provides us with some red flags in terms of some of the things we ought to be looking at perhaps. And the other thing that collecting that data would help us, I think, analyze is whether or not we have a specific PSO at a specific location who is amassing lots of interviews, but not very many complaints as compared to our other intake officers. And that may be an issue for us to take a look at, or for you to take a look at. And so that point of contact, I think, can be very helpful in your efforts and in our analysis of how well the complaint process is functioning. So appreciate that, Vic.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. We've come to that point in our agenda where we're open for board member comments.
I do have a question.
Yes, please.
Are we collecting data for use of force?
Yes, sir.
And is it like, you know, side of town with certain police officers, or just anybody that's had a complaint of use of force.
Yes, sir, Mr. Gardner. We captured a complaint of all use of force information. Officers have to fill out a form that details the information from there.
Will that be included in the report?
The use of force
In the annual
reports
report?
are, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Will that be included in the annual report that you give it?
We do include it in the report, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And we have promised that, not right away, but we did promise that sometimes in 2021 on a monthly or quarterly basis that you would be able to see the numbers as a board. So I'm sure we'll be moving forward with that as the year goes on.
Thank you, Ms. Moore.
Thank you.
Other board comments, please. Okay, well, let me just say this. I was excited, and I always comment on the new administration. I have commented in the past on the new administration in our police department. And Chief Coakley and his staff have reached out to us once again to invite 2 of our members to the next session of interviews with session 63 with potential police officers. This is so important because we have, as a board, an opportunity to have input into those officers who are going to be hired to provide service in our community. That initial hire, that officer coming in is so critical in terms of the issues that we're all concerned about. So I encourage you, if you have time and you received my email message today, to participate in that hiring process. There are some things that we need to work on in that hiring process to get more of our local individuals engaged in policing their community as opposed to folks who don't live in Kalamazoo policing the community. And you have an opportunity to have input into that. So I encourage you to take advantage of that opportunity. And the other thing that's encouraging with our new administration, and this is a first, the board has never before been invited to participate until Chief Coakley came on board. And the other thing that's happening is that there's more communication, there's more transparency, and there's more accountability and ownership from my perspective, which are things that I think the community appreciates, and I know the board appreciates it as well through Chief Coakley and his staff's administration. And so I think that, and I've said this before, Chief was built for this job. And he's been preparing for it since his high school days in football and basketball back in Detroit at Western Michigan University. People relying on him to lead and to during the good times and the tough times, whether the score was favorable or unfavorable. He was always there for everybody. Those traits are serving us well today, Chief. And so I speak to encourage you to continue with what you believe in and to continue to trust in those instincts. Any other citizens, any other board member comments?
I do have a question. Was that on the 27th, Chief, for the interviews? Because I did get an email about 2 weeks ago because we missed the last one.
It's sections. It's the 63rd session. I sent an email out today.
Well, I got one about 2 weeks ago because the last one was canceled for the interview.
Yeah. Well, this one will be 2 sessions, and I believe at Bronson or Borges Hospital. And so this may be the makeup sessions for the one that was canceled.
For the interviews?
Yeah. If you check your inbox, you should have that information.
Okay.
I sent that out to everybody today, except for the new board members because I didn't have their email addresses at this point.
Can I make a comment, Chairman Payne?
Absolutely.
Sarah, I did sit in on the interviews last month. Could have been the month before. Time's moving so fast now, it seems like. And it was just really insightful to not only understand the process, but to see the type of applicants that the city is getting. I think the particular day I sat on were all people that had already completed academy somewhere, not necessarily around here. So it was just really interesting. And as somebody that works in management and has to do hiring and making decisions, it was just interesting to see that the same qualities exist across people, no matter their professions, when it comes to having to interview for jobs and people's communication skills and how nervous you can be when you're interviewing for a position. So that was really, I guess, refreshing and human to see in a way, but also how important communication skills are, particularly in policing, and being able to hire people with those qualities in addition to the technical side of it. So that's just one thing in regards to actually sitting in on police interviews. And then there was another comment I kind of wanted to make, something that's been on my mind lately with our board. I think it is great that the amount of support we have been getting from city staff, the police department, the chief, and being able to expand our scope as a board. But also knowing people in the community and listening to what they're saying. I just want to make sure that the community understands more than anything that we are still an impartial board. It can be confusing, or people might think that we work on behalf of the city manager because of our close relationship and ties, whether it be with the people on this call that are employed by the city or by the police department. But I just want to make sure that that message doesn't get lost, that we're really here because we are volunteers, because it's important to us as people that live in the community, and that we do maintain that non-biased approach to appeals and complaints that we hear and receive. So it's just been on my mind lately, and I just wanted to put it out there for everybody.
Thank you for that, Ms. Buchanan. We are an advisory board. We are not an independent oversight board. We offer advice. We do not make decisions. And so it's important for the community to understand and realize that as well. Now, thanks to Ms. Moore and others, we have the ability, when there is disagreement between the city manager's office and the board, we can contact the city commission and let them know about those disagreements. That gives us more of a oversight function than an advice function. But at the end of the day, it's important for the community to know that although there is a separation in our focus and responsibilities, this is the city manager's board. The city manager appoints people to serve on it. The city manager makes decisions about leadership on this board, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Our challenge is to make sure that we will never, ever, ever sacrifice our integrity or our transparency with our community. We are going to be transparent and truthful, regardless of what others do. The community has to get that message. They have to get that message. Otherwise, our efforts are for naught. Because as you rightly point out, the community may think that we're simply an arm of the city manager's office. And I appreciate those comments. I really do. Because a lot of folks in the community perhaps feel that way. And we have to make sure that they understand how we function, and that we are going to be transparent and truthful regardless of the situation. Any other comments from board members? Member Tolbert.
Yes, I'd just like to say, with 2020 and COVID, before we had thought about doing a lot of community functions and getting the community together to know who we are. And even though that didn't materialize, I think because of the website that was created, the chief and assistant chief being hired, and the OIR, coming in and hiring them, and all the comments that were made, I sat in on both of those, and there were a lot of people calling in, and I don't think we had enough time because we kept running out of time, especially on the first call. But I think we're putting together a good structure for when this COVID breaks to get the community really involved and to know what this board is about. And I think with Chairman Payne's leadership, we made a lot of strides in 2020 that will, I think will really make a difference in 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Tolbert. And it's a team effort. Thank you. But I think this whole team has stepped up, and everybody is willing to put the work in to move our community forward. And that's what's so exciting for me, to work with and be a part of this team.
And I do want to say that I'm going to miss Miss Moore leaving in a few months. I think she has done a wonderful job and has given me everything I've asked from her.
Well, I want to echo that, Mr. Tolbert, because I think that Ms. Moore has one of the most challenging jobs in the city, and she has navigated it very well. Anytime that you have the responsibility to communicate this board's opinions and thoughts to the city manager's office, and to do it as effectively as she has done it, having the city manager agree with us, this board, when we were totally opposed to a decision or some decisions, is not an easy task. And Ms. Moore has been an excellent communicator in that regard for the board and for the city manager's office. So the foundation that she has laid is unbelievably solid for this board and our community. So, but she's going to be on speed dial. I don't care where she's at. So,
thank you all very much. I wanted to let the newer members know that we will be setting up an opportunity. We haven't had a formal orientation for you to have that orientation, but I also wanted to put out that we'll let the entire board know, and if any of you want to sit in on it, just to kind of refresh yourselves with the policies and procedures, you're welcome to do so. Also, I think Mr. Howell sent out some communication about some board development opportunities, and certainly want to get with Chairman Payne. I think that would be helpful for us as we look at some of those opportunities. So we will be sharing that with you. But again, look for a time for an orientation, and feel free to join us as we orient our new members.
and as a closing comment for me, will we be receiving an updated board list with contact information?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
At this time, are there any citizen comments?
There are no citizen comments at this time.
We have our upcoming board meetings are on March 9th and April 13th. So mark your calendars, but I'm sure that Neil and others will make sure we get about 75 email messages reminding us of those times and dates. Okay. Any other comments? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
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 All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good to see you guys. Take
Good to see you,
Good night.
Coach.
Stay safe.
You too.
Have a good night, everyone.
Coach Caldwell, good to see you.
It's good to see you, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Moore.
You are very welcome. Got one under your belt. We'll be in touch
Okay.
at a time that's convenient, and we'll